when someone looks back on a company they've worked with, how they describe that experience is
Right.
usually the culture. It's what stands out the most.
Right.
So, dovetailing on that, why does it matter as a business owner, CEO, part of the leadership team? Why should I invest in that? Why does that matter to us so much?
I think you mentioned it maybe a little bit earlier. I mean, I think Starbucks has earned quite a reputation for over 50 years now of having a very specific culture, and they take a lot of pride in many of the things that the culture, examples of the culture that Starbucks was proud of. And when I was there, there was, its mission and values, the tie of those together, the behaviors that go with those together. And so for us, it was creating a sense of belonging. It was challenging the status quo, never being okay with what everybody else can do. It's about being accountable for driving results, and it's about being present in the moment. And every time we talked about how we were going to drive business performance, and I want to make sure I underline this double, triple, quadruple, culture drives business results. Whatever your culture is, whether it's a good culture, a healthy culture, a bad culture, an optimistic culture, whatever the culture is actually driving business results. And for me, that is the reason why talking about culture, exploring culture, making culture visible, because none of us as leaders, at least I know I hadn't as a leader, ever been taught, well, here's how you look at culture. Here's how you talk about culture. Here's how you manage culture. Here's how you measure culture. We do it in every other aspect of our business life. But when you come to the word culture, it's somewhat like soft skills, like you're not quite sure how to do it or what to do or how to talk about it. But I do know this, and if you look at any of the evidence, and for all of you that want your data, and the data is evidence that things are true, every single institution, every single university, every single research group has absolutely directly correlated culture to performance. And if I think McKinsey's study that I use quite a lot, and I think they do a pretty good job on talking about culture and diving into culture. I think one of the most recent surveys I saw was that if you have what they call an organizational health index that's in the top quartile, which is a pretty basic common language across the industry, if you're in that top quartile of company culture, you on average will deliver 60% more returns to your shareholders than the median of that whole spectrum. And more importantly, if you're in that top quartile of organizational health, you will have up to 200% returns compared to the lowest quartile of organizational health. So if anybody wants to have an absolutely compelling reason why any of us, including all of us here on the call, why any of us would be paying attention to what culture means for a company, it would be that it's directly associated, directly correlated to output, productivity, and returns to shareholders. In some of those areas that we measured at Starbucks, which I'm sure many of you do as well, there's an improvement in productivity, which we're all looking for right now. There's a significant improvement of efficiency and how people work together. There's a faster acceptance of both innovation and change, which we're all going through massive innovation and change right now. There's better alignment with strategy where everybody's talking about the same thing, measuring the same things, rewarding the same things. There's less burnout, higher retention, better recruiting and retaining talent. So you can pick any of those measures, and most of us measure some of those things, if not all of those things already. But how do you directly correlate those specific measurements to the fact that they're all grounded in culture? And I think so the compelling notion for all of us business leaders is, yes, you can have a P&L. Yes, you're going to have a sales team. Yes, you're going to have a finance team. We're going to have all these teams measuring things. But at the end of the day, making culture visible, making room for culture to be discussed, talking about the what we're doing, the how we're doing it, which is really important, and the why we're doing it, to me, ties that nice little bow around why culture is so critically important to driving performance.